What's up, YouTube? So this is kind of probably going to be a boring video, really, but I wanted to talk about, just I haven't uploaded anything, crashing my car back in like 2016, how that happened and what I was doing, and kind of just recap it for myself, really. So back in 2016, I was going to school for auto body and collision repair at Southwest Tech here in Fenimore, and I had gone in 2015 too. I think it's hard for me to keep track of what the hell I even did in my life. But I had gone there 1 year, and then I dropped out. I was doing a shitload of drugs, and then I went back in 2016, and I was driving to school, and it was the last day of classes. I had my last final that day, and I was late. I drove fast anyway, and I wasn't that late. I really didn't need to hurry, and it didn't end up working out that well anyway, because I was driving on this road that I'm on right now, and there's a corner on this road that's a hellacious corner. I've seen other people crash on it, and I've crashed on it myself. So there's this section of the road that's like a toge or a togue or whatever, you know, the winding road. It's a really nice like little section. You can really speed through it and have a good time. And I had picked up a 98 Honda Civic EX Coupe 1 week prior. I had this car for a week, and I was really liking it. It was a zoomy little car. It was fun for me, you know. It had the stick shift action, so I could really, just rev it up, do like burnouts. I could shift it hard. I could rev match downshifts, all that stuff. And I was driving it like a fucking maniac in this curvy section of the road coming up to this corner. And this corner, it's like it's a left-hander, and it goes into an uphill section. And when it rains, the water washes like rocks and gravel and shit across the road. There's no guardrail, and then there's like a big ditch off to the side of the road. I'll show you when I get up there. But anyway, I was coming into that corner, and I had the car up to like probably like 90 miles an hour in fourth gear, and I was on the brakes. I probably had it down to somewhere between 50 and 60 at the entry of the corner, and I pushed it into third. You know, I tried to rev match it, but I missed the rev match by quite a lot, like at least like 2,000 and 2,500 RPM. And you know what that does, of course. So I was maybe at like 4,500 RPM or something, and I should have been at like 6. I fucked that up. So the car, like the front wheels, you know, when you engine brake, is basically what I did. And also I was taking a wider line into the road. One thing I want to make clear is that this was my fault. I don't want to make excuses. I was the guy driving the car, it turns out. There was nobody else in it. There was no God take the wheel or Jesus take the wheel. Nothing like that. I just was taking a wide line because I was going faster than usual. I missed my rev match. And the wide line is important because, you know, the gravel that washes onto the road, it gets dispersed when people drive over it, but people drive in the same spot all the time. So there was like a couple feet or so of gravel on the edge of the road. So I put my outside wheels onto that, and it was like marbles on the road or something. And that mixed with the shitty downshift caused the back end of the car to kick out. And I was really surprised at that because I hadn't had the back end of a car kick out when I wasn't expecting it ever up until that point. And definitely not in a car like this on just dry pavement. So I was really surprised, and I didn't handle it right. I went for the counter steer, you know, just a little bit. You know, I had the car turned in. I probably counter steered it so that the wheels were like straight, and that was bad. That was not the best decision. I should have, in retrospect, I should have kept the car turned in and just given it like 100% throttle, but I didn't do that. Instead, I counter steered a little bit, and the car was sideways for a lot of the corner. Like I basically made it almost all the way through the corner, but then the car like ripped up again, and it went from being sideways to straight, but straight towards the ditch. So I hammered on the brake, and I left from like my front right wheel, I left like a 5-foot little skid, and then I went off the road, and I hit this drainage pipe that goes under the road, and I hammered the crap out of that drainage pipe. It's got a big dent in it now, and I basically did like a jump. I did a jump into the ditch. It bent the whole front of my car, like the frame rails and the core support and everything. It bent all that up by like at least 5 inches, you know, somewhere between 5 and 7 inches. The front end of my car was just up. And then the front right wheel was like smashed backwards. And it was surprising because it didn't smash the oil pan, and it didn't wreck the transmission or anything like that. The engine and transmission were still good. I ended up swapping them, but it smashed the whole front end of the car up. And I think since the force of the crash was generally like upwards, like the airbags didn't go off. So I think that's why. So the airbags didn't go off, and the front end of my car was smashed. And then I remember like when I crashed, the only thing I said was "fuck." Like yelled it, "fuck!" And my glasses like flew off of my face, and I couldn't exactly keep track of their trajectory after that. But they ended up in the back seat, which was interesting. And I am pretty thankful about some things about this crash, because if I had gone off the road at like a lot of different spots on this corner, basically any other spot, and not hit this pipe thing, I would have done like a 45-mile-an-hour nosedive right into this ditch, which would have been a lot rougher of a collision. Like when I hit this pipe, it shaved off a ton of speed, and I did like just like a boop, and like landed in the ditch. That's what it felt like. So anyway, we're coming up to this spot here in just a minute where I did this at, and this is the tollgate section. This is where the corners get really nice. I always loved driving this section into school. I mean, I was a reckless kid. I turned into a reckless adult. Really, probably isn't all that surprising. And this road has some really, well, just basically this one corner, but there's another corner on the same road that I had to take to school. It's a different road, but it's the same route. That's another hellacious corner. I never crashed on this one, but I did get my car sideways on it once on the downhill, and it's really bad because it's like it's sharply downhill. It's really sharp to the left, the way I was going when I drifted it, and it's like off camber by a little bit. It's a really crappy corner, and I don't know. I haven't seen anybody crash on that one, which I'm not sure why. It's a really bad corner. But that I don't know. I guess that's just the driftless area, the roads. You know, I'm in Wisconsin. If you couldn't tell, if you can't see out the window or anything. But yeah, I've been on this road for this section right here, like little Honda Civics and stuff like that, at probably 90 to 100 miles an hour, which is not something I do anymore, but it's something I used to do. Yeah, like I said, I used to be a really reckless boy. And getting into a wreck really wasn't it wasn't the thing that made me want to stop doing that. I still drove really fast for a long time after that. I still drive kind of fast now. I guess I've just calmed down with the shit. I've got my my two best friends here, which are Mountain Dew and cigarettes. That sounds kind of sad when I say it. That's not true. That's not my best friends. You know, it's just kind of funny. Also, earlier I lied. We're getting up to the section of the road I was talking about earlier. The Togue section, and I'll drive it kind of fast, but I'm in a big stupid fucking truck, so I can't really go that fast, you know. Maybe we'll get some tired troops. This corner right here is really sketch. You go downhill into a left-hand turn, and if you miss the turn, you go off like a, looks like a 20 foot, like, oh no, that's not that deep. Well, I guess it's like a 10-foot drop into a bunch of trees. So that's really not good. This road is pretty sketch, if I'm honest. It's not very smooth. It's not terrible, but it's not very smooth. There's not like any guardrails. There's power line poles all besides it. And, you know, just generally not that great. This corner I'm coming up to next is you go over a hill, and then like immediately as you go over the hill, you have to turn right. It's like a big hump. I wish I had like a forward-facing camera as well as like a one that's facing at me. There's another 35-mile-an-hour corner. Yeah. Well, the hill is like in the middle of this corner. Yep. Then this one goes left into a bridge and then a right. And then here's Dead Man's Corner, which is this really hellacious left-hander. I did about, like, I don't know what speed really through that. But that's the corner I crashed on back there. I'll videotape it from the front. On the way back through here. You don't need to see this other corner I'm talking about. Maybe I'll drive past it someday and it'll be on a random video somewhere. But I'm gonna turn around and go back. Alright, so you'll see what I'm talking about here. This corner is really really a sketch corner, especially on the downhill, since if you build up too much speed on this downhill here, it's like 30 miles an hour, you're really going to have to hammer on your brakes. If you're on your brakes in this corner, it might get sideways. One person specifically I saw, it looks like they got sideways and then corrected and ended up off into the ditch past this bridge. But see, gravel will go across this, and the ditch over there is pretty deep with lots of trees. Just a really sketchy corner. This road's kind of sketch in general. It's a really fun road, but I don't know. gotta be a little bit cautious on it. And there was one time I was not being near cautious enough. So that's basically it. I just wanted to spin a little yarn for you, you know.